Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so very good morning and welcome to today's session on cash flow based credit assessment. My name is Maulik Shah, the co-founder and the CEO of Almas Risk Consulting and advisor to GJPC. On behalf of GJPC, I welcome each and every member to today's webinar session. Uh, I'm sure it's a pre-Diwali week, and most of you are busy, and which is a good sign post the lockdown opening up. Activities are picking up. BDB में हम जाएंगे तो काफी सारी एक्टिविटी दिख रही है, and which is a great thing to have in today's conditions. So इस सबके बीच में टाइम निकाल के आज ये सेशन में आने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद and thank you very much for your time to participate on today's session. And I think we have more members who are joining in, and as they join in, we will have more of an interactions through a chat box. Now for GJPC, let me just say a few words. जो pandemic conditions हुई है last 6 महीने में, in a way it was crisis, but as they say, every crisis brings opportunity. And at GJPC, we have been working on really exploring this opportunity to the fullest. And why do I say that? Is because GJPC का एक objective रहा है to all their members to spread education, knowledge, awareness about various issues. पहले pre-pandemic में अगर यही चीज हमको करनी होती है तो physical format में जाते थे, मतलब the team will actually go to the various places. In fact, I remember almost a year back, मैं गुड़गांव गया था, in fact गिरगांव, not गुड़गांव, गिरगांव गया था जवेरी बाजार में to conduct a session for about 40-50 jewelers कारीगर्स. Now, अगर हम आज का फॉर्मेट देखते हैं तो through this webinar over last 6 months, I can tell you we have been conducting webinar every almost alternate weeks and on a various issues which are of relevance to all the members. And हम participation देखते हैं तो it is from all over India, चाहे वो राजस्थान, जयपुर, जोधपुर हो, कोलकाता हो, Mumbai, various remote locations. So we have been able to attract participants. Members are benefiting, and that is serving one of the objective of GJPC. And for that to be successful, I once again thank all the members who are enthusiastically participating in this webinar series. So thank you once again. Now let me come to today's session. आज का सेशन जो टाइटल्ड है कैश फ्लो बेस्ड क्रेडिट असेसमेंट, मैं उसका एक बैकग्राउंड सेट करना चाहता हूँ. A few years back, or in fact my personal association with the industry has been for almost 20 years. मुझे याद है कि आज से 5 या 6 साल पहले रेटिंग एजेंसी, और शायद उससे भी ज्यादा, रेटिंग एजेंसी के बारे में हमारी इंडस्ट्री में किसी ने सुना भी नहीं था. बिकॉज हमारे लिए all of us, all the members are focused on working capital finance, bank loans for meeting our short-term working capital requirement. And वो हमारा काम हमारे और बैंक के तालमेल से हो रहा था, कभी भी ये रेटिंग की रिक्वायरमेंट आई नहीं है. There was this norms in between, और उसकी टेक्निकलिटीज में मैं नहीं जाता हूँ, बट एक लॉ आया जिसकी वजह से बैंक हैज स्टार्टेड लुकिंग इनटू रेटिंग इवन वर्किंग कैपिटल और अ बैंक लोन. एंड तभी से लेके ऑलमोस्ट ऑल मेंबर्स जो बैंक लोन अवेल कर रहे हैं, उन लोग के लिए रेटिंग ऑलमोस्ट मैंडेटरी हो गया बिकॉज बैंक इंसिस्ट करती है. लेट मी से विद परमिशन ऑफ ऑल ऑफ यू, एंड इफ आई मे से सो, कि रेटिंग एजेंसीज सिंस देन हैज बिकम लाइक मोर ऑफ एन अनवांटेड गेस्ट, और वेरियस कंप्लायंसेस तो ऐड हो ही रहे हैं, उसके साथ ये रेटिंग का भी एक कंप्लायंस ऐड हो गया. मतलब और हमारे लिए और एक चीज कंप्लायंस रिक्वायरमेंट्स, एंड सालों से हमने वही हिसाब से उसको देखा भी है कि रेटिंग वाले आएंगे, उनको कुछ समझता तो है नहीं, हमारी इंडस्ट्री तो वैसे भी उन लोग समझते नहीं है, और अपना काम करके जाएंगे, हमारा कॉस्ट इनकर होता है, पता नहीं हमको क्या फायदा है. ना ये अभी तक का एक मार्केट कंडीशन है, एक नजरिया है देखने का. यही बैकग्राउंड में हमने काउंसिल में सोचा कि हाउ अबाउट एक्चुअली कंडक्टिंग अ सेशन ऑन द क्रेडिट असेसमेंट इटसेल्फ. नाउ आई कैन टेल यू द अदर साइड ऑफ इट, दैट there is definitely some deeper understanding and analysis that a rating agency also has gathered over last many years through association with various members. एक चीज मैं जो अभी आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूं कि नेक्स्ट 45 मिनट्स टू 1 आवर हमारे लिए आज, आपके लिए आज ये एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है जिसमें हो सकते हैं हमारे कुछ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग हो, मिसकंसेप्शन हो, कुछ मिथ्स हो, उसको क्लियर करें. We have experts today who will share their insights. We are going to go deeper into the rating world itself. And हो सकता है कि आज के सेशन के एंड में कुछ ऐसी चीज लेके जाए जो हमारे बिजनेस के लिए वो यूजफुल हो. मतलब जो भी अभी तक का एक्सपीरियंस रहा है उसको साइड पे रख के आज के सेशन में ऐसे पार्टिसिपेट करें जो इन लोग अपने को शेयर करने वाले हैं, उनका अंडरस्टैंडिंग, उनका एक्सपीरियंस, उनका क्रेडिट रेटिंग क्राइटेरिया, जो बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेशन रिलेवेंट है, क्रिटिकल है अपने बिजनेस के लिए. एंड अगर ये ऑब्जेक्टिव से आज का सेशन हम अटेंड करते हैं, सो हु नोस एट द एंड ऑफ द सेशन वी मे एक्चुअली स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट रेटिंग एज वन ऑफ अ यूजफुल टूल फॉर आवर बिजनेस ग्रोथ एंड प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स. मतलब हो सकता है हम उसको एक इनेबलर की तरह देखें कि क्या इससे हम अपने बिजनेस में कैसे एडवांटेज ले सकते हैं. तो ये एक बैकग्राउंड मैं आपके साथ सेट करना चाहता हूं. हमारे साथ आज जो टीम है, एंड आई थैंक बोथ ऑफ देम, वी हैव अ वेरी सीनियर एक्सपर्ट प्रोफेशनल्स फ्रॉम द केयर which is one of the leading rating agencies in India. In fact, CARE is the second largest rating agency in India. And I can say one more thing, that G&J ke liye CARE has rated so many clients. In fact, CARE is the major market shareholder, I can say, among all the ratings done by G&J members. So, उन्होंने जो एक्सपीरियंस गैदर किया है वो एक्सपीरियंस आज हमारे साथ वो शेयर करेंगे. हमारे साथ सीनियर एसोसिएट डायरेक्टर है और उनके साथ जो टीम अप किए है वो है सेक्टर स्पेशलिस्ट, जिन्होंने ये सेक्टर के ऊपर पिछले काफी साल से काम किए हैं. एंड ही हैज आल्सो बिल्ट एन एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्सपर्टीज ऑफ दिस एंटायर आवर ट्रेड, जो हमारा एक हमेशा का रहता है कि इन लोग को कैसे जाने, क्या जाने. बट आई कैन टेल यू वन थिंग, कि दे हैव गैदर्ड इनफ इंफॉर्मेशंस एंड इनपुट्स टू रियली बी एक्सपर्ट ऑफ आवर ट्रेड्स. So मैं उनका एक brief introduction देना चाहता हूँ. We have a pleasure of Mr. Ranjan Sharma and Mr. Ujjwal Patel. Thank you very much for joining on this call and ready to share your expertise, your wisdom, your insights on the cash flow based credit assessment. I will introduce Mr. Ranjan Sharma, who is an associate director, corporate ratings at CARE. His industry experience is over 16 years and उसमें से 14 years उन्होंने CARE rating में ही spend किए हैं. Mr. Sharma is a rating head for large corporates at the Ahmedabad region office. His comprehensive experience in credit risk assessment also facilitates his membership of the criteria and quality control team as well as internal rating committee at CARE Ratings. By qualification, Mr. Sharma is a PGDBM in finance from KJ Somaiya Institute of Management Studies and Research, Mumbai, and he has done his BCom from Kolkata University. Welcome, Mr. Ranjan Sharma.
Thank you, Maulik bhai.
And we have Mr. Ujjwal Patel, another senior specialist, I would say, of our industry. Rather, he is our industry man. I can say he holds the position of senior manager, corporate ratings at CARE. His industry experience is over 15 years, जिसमें से 10 साल वो CARE के साथ थे. And during his tenure, he has handled credit rating assessment for a wide variety of clients across various sectors. At present, he is a group head handling credit ratings of medium and small corporates at the Ahmedabad regional office of CARE. He also heads as a specialist. He is a sector head for the G&J, Gems and Jewelry sector at CARE Rating. Academically, Mr. Patel is a qualified chartered accountant and holds a graduate degree in commerce from Gujarat University. Now, before I hand it over to them, just brief about how the next 45 minutes to 1 hour will go. We will have a presentation by the care team, Mr. Ranjan Sharma and Ujjwal Patel. That will go for about 20-25 minutes, post which we will have a Q&A session. And in this Q&A session, I will be interacting with them. As a member participating on this webinar, my sincere request to all of you, please put your questions either in a Q&A or a chat box. I will pick that up from there and put it up across to the speakers. But it is your session. Make sure that all your questions, all your issues are resolved at the end of the session. You can put the questions at any time during the session, during their presentation, during my interactions. Feel free, absolutely. And at the right opportunity, I will put it up to the speaker. So with this background, I now invite Mr. Ranjan Sharma and Mr. Ujjwal Patel to take us through the insights of the cash flow based credit assessment. Over to you, Mr. Ranjan Sharma and Ujjwal Patel.
Thank you, Maulik Bhai. And thank you, sincere thanks to Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council for providing care ratings and opportunity to have a fruitful interaction with all the members to understand your perspective, and we can share our experience gained while analyzing this sector. Broadly, what we'll do is that in the first part of the presentation, we'll cover about the general credit rating, what credit rating is, how we go about it. And the second part, my colleague Ujjwal, who is the sector specialist, he will touch upon the various nuances, various characteristics, various issues which he looks into while analyzing the gems and jewelry sector. So I think now we can start with it.
Yes.
Yes. So as I said, the broad flow will be the basic concept of credit rating, and the second portion would be the gems and jewelry sector and how we analyze it, what are our criteria and methodology for analyzing the gems and jewelry sector. Now, fundamentally, what is the basic definition of credit rating? Credit rating is essentially an independent and unbiased opinion on the relative ability and willingness of the borrower to meet the debt service obligations as and when they arise. I would request members to carefully look at this definition. It is just a two-line definition, but every word is very important. One aspect is that as the rating agencies, we give our independent opinion. We are not the ones. In fact, the lenders, there is a banker and there is a borrower. Okay, so we are an independent opinion. And another aspect is that it is about ability and willingness. From a cash flow perspective, based on the business cash flows, a company or an entity can have the ability to pay. Okay, but various times we have witnessed that there is lack of willingness. Okay, so that is largely the qualitative aspect or the management aspect. An entity might have the ability, but because of management issues, they might not pay. Another aspect is the relativeness. When we assess, we have a rating scale, okay, from AAA, AA, all the way down to D. D is obviously a factual rating because based on definition of what is a default, we say this is a D rating. Otherwise, there is a wide rating symbol framework. And whenever we do ratings, and whether we do ratings for a gems and jewelry sector, or a cement sector, or a textile sector, or FMCG, pharma, any sector, we do ratings. So we have to fit the ratings of an entity in any given sector on a relative basis. So when we rate some entity, it's obviously we do a relative assessment of that entity in a particular sector. For example, gems and jewelry में हम लोग करते हैं, तो gems and jewelry में एक relative assessment देखते हैं कि particular entity कहाँ पर place हो सकते हैं. And outside that, we also compare with other sectors, other industries, because this rating scale जो है ना हमारा, वो सिर्फ एक सेक्टर के लिए नहीं है. ये पूरे इकोनॉमी, इंडिया में जितने कंपनीज हैं, चाहे वो लार्जेस्ट से लार्जेस्ट एंटिटी हैं, बीएसई और एनएसई लिस्टेड और अनलिस्टेड पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स हैं, सभी के लिए उसी में हमें रिलेटिव बेसिस पे करना है उनका असेसमेंट. ठीक है. एंड लास्ट पोर्शन आप देखेंगे ना, टू मीट द डेट सर्विसिंग ऑब्लिगेशंस एज एंड व्हेन दे अराइज. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. डेट सर्विसिंग ऑन ड्यू डेट होना चाहिए. जब भी ड्यू डेट है, टर्म लोन, इंटरेस्ट, सबके लिए, सब चीज के लिए एक एक ऑन ड्यू डेट करना है. अगर ड्यू डेट में नहीं हुआ ना, देन दैट इज अ कंसर्न फॉर अस. So I think this is the backdrop which I wanted to set. Now, in general, what does credit rating represent? It reflects credit risk. It indicates probability of default. आप लोग काफी लोग होंगे जो बैंकिंग सेक्टर से आप वाकिफ होंगे, उनसे आप इंटरेक्ट करते होंगे. सो काफी आप लोग प्रॉपर्टीज, लैंड, बिल्डिंग, ये सब कोलेटरल में देते होंगे, ठीक है ना. तो बट ये सब जो चीजें हैं ना, इनको हम लोग जब कैश फ्लो असेसमेंट करते हैं क्रेडिट रेटिंग के लिए, तो दोज थिंग्स डोंट ऐड मच वैल्यू टू इट, बिकॉज हमारा कोर फोकस है इज अबाउट कैश फ्लोज. कैश, जो बिजनेस कैश फ्लो आ रहा है, उससे हम टाइमली डेट सर्विस कर पाए. सो वी आर लुकिंग एट प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफॉल्ट. दूसरा एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है कि डिफॉल्ट कर दिया तो जो लेंडर है उनके पास क्या कोलेटरल है, वहां से वो अपना पैसा रिकवर कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, है ना. दैट्स अ सेपरेट कॉन्सेप्ट. दैट इज कि उनको लॉस होगा कि नहीं अल्टीमेटली, बट हमें वो नहीं देखना है कि उनके लॉस होगा कि नहीं. हमारा कोर फोकस है ऑन ड्यू डेट पेमेंट होगा कि नहीं. उसके लिए बिजनेस कैश फ्लोज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. दैट इज व्हाई लुक एट द कॉन्सेप्ट इज प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफॉल्ट, वेदर वो डिफॉल्ट करेगा कि नहीं. व्हेन वी से AAA, देन ऑलमोस्ट नेग्लिजिबल प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफॉल्ट, है ना. व्हेन वी से BB, देन देयर इज अ हायर प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफॉल्ट. एक और है रेटिंग इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर द एंटायर टेन्योर ऑफ द इंस्ट्रूमेंट. काफी लोगों को लगता है मैंने रेटिंग एक बार करवा लिया, वो नहीं. जब कोई भी रेटिंग एजेंसी रेट करती है ना, अगर आपका वर्किंग कैपिटल फैसिलिटी है या आपका टर्म लोन है, तो हमें देखना है कि पूरे टेन्योर तक, जितने समय तक के लिए आपने लोन लिया है ना, पूरे, अगर 5 साल है, 10 साल है, 3 साल है, जितने समय के लिए है, उतने समय, वो पूरे पीरियड में आप हर बार, चाहे मंथली इंस्टॉलमेंट है, क्वार्टरली इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट है, हर बार आप टाइम पे पेमेंट कर पाए, हमें वो देखना है, ठीक है. एंड व्हाट क्रेडिट रेटिंग डज नॉट रिप्रेजेंट इज, एज अ रेटिंग एजेंसी वी प्रोवाइड अ प्रोफेशनल इंडिपेंडेंट ओपिनियन. ओके, हम लोग रेकमेंड नहीं करते हैं किसी को कि आप इन्वेस्ट करो या लेंड करो. ओके, दैट इज बिटवीन द लेंडर एंड द बोरोवर. एंड एज आई सेड, दिस इज नॉट अ वन टाइम, एक बार का असेसमेंट नहीं है, दिस इज एन ऑनगोइंग थिंग. एंड इसमें कोई फॉर्मूला बेस्ड नहीं है. रेटिंग एजेंसीज वो काफी नंबर क्रंचिंग करते हैं, एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स देखते हैं, ऑपरेशनल डिटेल्स देखते हैं, ठीक है. बट बियॉन्ड दैट वी ऑल्सो लुक एट द मैनेजमेंट ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड, वी ऑल्सो लुक एट द इंडस्ट्री एस्पेक्ट्स, ठीक है. सो लार्जली इट्स अबाउट मैनेजमेंट, इंडस्ट्री, इकोनॉमी, है ना, फाइनेंशियल रिस्क प्रोफाइल एंड बिजनेस फंडामेंटल. ये सब देख के वी अराइव एट अ रेटिंग डिसीजन. एंड एक चीज और है कि रेटिंग एजेंसी दे डोंट डू ऑडिट. फॉर अस मोर और लेस द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट इज द ऑडिटेड एनुअल अकाउंट्स. इट इज द स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर्स हु डू द ऑडिट. वी टेक इट, बट ऑब्वियसली हम लोग अपना भी जजमेंट लेते हैं. हम लोग उसमें जाके इन डेप्थ जाके समझने का ट्राई करते हैं. हम लोग ये भी देखते हैं जो ऑडिटेड रिजल्ट्स है वो इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री वो कैसा दिख रहा है. एंड उनसे और भी बियॉन्ड ऑडिटेड नंबर्स और भी हम लोग इंफॉर्मेशन लेते हैं, जस्ट टू ट्राई टू सी कि वेदर जो ऑडिटेड नंबर्स रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहे हैं वो किसी और चीज से मैच हो रही है कि नहीं. सो एज आई सेड, ओवरऑल क्रेडिट रिस्क असेसमेंट में ना 2 पार्ट है, एक एक्सटर्नल, एक इंटरनल. जब हम लोग इंडस्ट्री की बात करते हैं ना, जब किसी एंटिटी की रेटिंग करते हैं, किसी कंपनी की रेटिंग करते हैं, तो एक इंडस्ट्री एस्पेक्ट आ जाता है, ठीक है. तो वो कंपनी से बाहर है, तो दैट इज व्हाई हम लोग उसको बोलते हैं वो एक एक्सटर्नल रिस्क है, इंडस्ट्री रिस्क. उसमें हम लोग इंडस्ट्री का जो उसके जो इंडस्ट्री में जो भी स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं, इंडस्ट्री के जो चैलेंजेस हैं, इंडस्ट्री में जो भी रिस्क हैं, वो सब देखते हैं. एंड वी ऑल्सो कंपेयर वन प्लेयर विथ अनदर प्लेयर इन द इंडस्ट्री कि रिलेटिवली वो कैसे प्लेस्ड हैं. उसके अलावा जो है, जब हम लोग कंपनी को देखते हैं, तो कंपनी में हम लोग एक क्वालिटेटिव एस्पेक्ट है, मैनेजमेंट को देखते हैं, उनका कैसा ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड रहा है ना, उनका कैसा क्रेडिबिलिटी रहा है ओवर पास्ट सो मेनी इयर्स ऑफ देयर एग्जिस्टेंस इन दैट बिजनेस. जब पहले कभी भी प्रॉब्लम्स आए हैं, मे बी प्रॉब्लम्स कंपनी स्पेसिफिक हो, मे बी प्रॉब्लम्स कंपनी के बियॉन्ड हो, वो इंडस्ट्री के कारण हो, ओवरऑल इकोनॉमी में डाउनटर्न आया है, वैसे सिचुएशंस में मैनेजमेंट ने क्या क्या स्टेप्स लिए हैं टू इंश्योर दैट वो बिजनेस को अफ्लोट रखें एंड टाइमली डेट सर्विसिंग करें. ऐसा नहीं है, मतलब ओवर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं, बट प्रॉब्लम्स का मतलब ये नहीं है कि मतलब आपने लोन लिया, फिर मतलब मैं सिंपल टर्म्स में बोलूँ तो आप उनको टाइम पे पे नहीं करें। व्हाट एडिशनल एफर्ट्स यू डिड, है ना, जो आपने इतने सालों में अपने बिजनेस कैश फ्लोज आपने जो अर्न किए हैं, क्या उस प्रॉब्लम पीरियड में आपने उसको यूज करके टाइमली डेट सर्विसिंग किया? सो ये सब देखते हैं। बिजनेस रिस्क में जैसे मैंने बोला कि रिलेटिव पोजीशन कैसा है, बिजनेस फंडामेंटल्स कैसे हैं कंपनी के, उनके ऑपरेटिंग एफिशिएंसी कैसे हैं, वो जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी के पर्सपेक्टिव से मेरे कलीग उज्जवल कुछ समय बाद बताएंगे भी। एंड जो फाइनेंशियल रिस्क है विच इज नंबर्स, है ना, जो नॉर्मल रेशियोज होते हैं, कैश फ्लोज होते हैं, आपके इन्वेंट्री और रिसीवेबल्स कैसे हैं, अपार्ट फ्रॉम ये सिर्फ प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी की बात नहीं है। प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी तो पीएनएल स्टेटमेंट से आता है, हमें बैलेंस शीट भी देखना है कि विथ प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी क्या वो कैश फ्लोज आ रहे हैं कि नहीं, या रिसीवेबल्स और इन्वेंट्री में ही पैसे फंसे हुए हैं, ठीक है। तो ये सब चीजें हम देखते हैं। एक छोटा सा मैं बताना चाहूंगा आप लोगों को अबाउट द क्रेडिट रेटिंग प्रोसेस। नॉर्मली जैसे क्रेडिट रेटिंग है, अगर मैं बैंक्स पर्सपेक्टिव से बोलूं तो बैंक्स को रिक्वायरमेंट है क्रेडिट रेटिंग्स की, है ना। इट इज ड्रिवन बाय गाइडलाइंस, जो रेगुलेटरी गाइडलाइंस है उसके हिसाब से भी है, बट ऑल्सो बेस्ड ऑन देयर इंटरनल पॉलिसीज, वो बोलते हैं। नाउ जो भी पर्टिकुलर क्लाइंट है, जो भी कस्टमर है, जो भी वो बैंक से लोन लेने गया, देन इट इज अप टू दैट क्लाइंट कि एनी ऑफ द अप्रूव्ड रेटिंग एजेंसीज, क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसीज इन इंडिया जितने भी हैं, वो कहीं किन्हीं को भी जाके अप्रोच करें एंड उनसे रेटिंग के लिए रिक्वेस्ट करें, and then an agreement is signed. That is one part. Now once that, obviously that is a business development part. So that जब वो खत्म हो जाता है ना, then the core analytical team of any particular rating agency, they get into it. Now while talking about care, हमारे यहाँ प्रोसेस क्या है, जब भी हमें कोई एक असाइनमेंट मिलता है तो एक रेटिंग टीम असाइन होता है ना। हम लोग रेटिंग टीम असाइन करने में ये भी देखते हैं कि वो जो टीम है उन्होंने वो सेक्टर के केसेस पहले कितना हैंडल किए हैं। जैसे हमारे यहाँ सेक्टर स्पेशलिस्ट है, बट अलग अलग लोग जो हैं, एनालिस्ट हैं, टीम मेंबर्स हैं, सब ने, हो सकता है कोई मेंबर सीमेंट में किसी ने ज्यादा केसेस हैंडल किया, किसी ने जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी में ज्यादा हैंडल किया है, किसी ने रोड सेक्टर में ज्यादा हैंडल किया, तो वो सब हम लोग देख के हम लोग केस को असाइन करते हैं। एंड देन स्पेसिफिक इन्फॉर्मेशन हम लोग मांगते हैं क्लाइंट से। इट इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट द एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स, बियॉन्ड एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स देयर आर वेरियस अदर इन्फॉर्मेशन, ऑपरेशनल डिटेल्स व्हिच वी सीक फ्रॉम द क्लाइंट। देन हम लोग अपना खुद ड्यू डिलिजेंस करते हैं, क्लाइंट से इंटरेक्शन करते हैं, साइट विजिट करते हैं, उनके प्रीमाइसेस में जाते हैं, उनके ऑपरेशंस को देखते हैं। जहाँ तक ड्यू डिलिजेंस की बात है, हम लोग बैंकर से, है ना, बैंकर से इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, ऑडिटर से इंटरेक्ट करते हैं। इन मेनी केसेस वी ऑल्सो ट्राई टू इंटरेक्ट विथ देयर कस्टमर्स एंड सप्लायर्स। तो वहां पर देन द कोऑपरेशन ऑफ द क्लाइंट बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट। आप हमें शेयर करें डिटेल्स, हम इंडिपेंडेंटली आपके कस्टमर सप्लायर से भी इंटरेक्ट करेंगे। तो ये काफी चीजें हम लोग करते हैं। एंड ऑब्वियसली हम लोग जब रेटिंग करते हैं ना, तो हमें वी रेट सो मेनी क्लाइंट्स, जैसा मौलिक भाई ने बताया, तो हमें भी मार्केट के बारे में एक आइडिया रहता है कि किस क्लाइंट के बारे में मार्केट फीडबैक कैसा है। सो वी ऑल्सो कीप आवर आईज एंड ईयर्स ओपन टू दैट। एंड देन मतलब जो भी प्रोसेस होता है उसका रेटिंग नोट बनती है। फिर हमारे यहाँ एक है कि अलग अलग सेक्टर के लिए सेक्टर स्पेशलिस्ट हैं, तो जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर के लिए भी सेक्टर स्पेशलिस्ट है, वो उस चीज को रिव्यू करते हैं सो एज टू मेंटेन कंसिस्टेंसी इन द ओवरऑल थॉट प्रोसेस। पूरे सेक्टर में एक प्रॉपर एनालिटिकल अप्रोच हो। फिर हमारे यहाँ रेटिंग कमिटी है। कोई एक आदमी बैठ के रेटिंग डिसाइड नहीं करता है, इट इज अ कमिटी which decide. There is a committee and committee comprises of internal external members, है ना, काफी एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, those are professionally qualified। हमारे यहाँ एक्सटर्नल कमिटी भी है, एंड ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ लास्ट सो मेनी इयर्स हमारे यहाँ कमिटी मेंबर्स सीनियर एक्स बैंकर्स भी रहे हैं who bring that perspective to it, ठीक है। एंड देन अल्टीमेटली द रेटिंग कमिटी awards the rating to the client, एंड आफ्टर दैट ऑब्वियसली वो रेटिंग जो भी आया, क्यों आया, क्या क्या पॉइंट्स कंसिडर किए गए, वो सब डिस्कस होता है क्लाइंट से। एंड देन इफ क्लाइंट इज ओके देन ही एक्सेप्ट्स द रेटिंग। फिर हम लोग रेटिंग लेटर देते हैं, एंड हमारे वेबसाइट पे प्रेस रिलीज होता है, पब्लिश होता है, जिसके बेसिस पे बैंक्स यूज कर सकते हैं। अगर किसी क्लाइंट को जो भी उन्हें लगता है उन्हें बेटर रेटिंग आना चाहिए था, या उन्हें हमारे रेटिंग से पसंद नहीं आया, तो वो अपने पॉइंट्स हमें दे सकते हैं फिर से, है ना। उनको जो भी ऑब्जेक्शन लगते हैं, या उनको लगता है कि कोई स्ट्रेंथ उनके ठीक से कंसिडर नहीं किए गए हैं, तो दोज थिंग्स दे कैन शेयर विथ अस, एंड वो हमें फिर से एक कमिटी ले जाना पड़ता है। इस बार एक दूसरी कमिटी होती है, जिस पहली कमिटी ने जिसने असाइन किया था रेटिंग, उसमें कोई मेंबर वो सेकंड कमिटी में नहीं रहेंगे। तो मैं ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि काफी इंडिपेंडेंट, प्रोफेशनल, अनबायस्ड थिंग होती है ये। ठीक है, एंड पीपल ओवर देयर आर सीनियर पर्सनल जो कि इंडस्ट्री के काफी एक्सपीरियंस है उनको। एंड एक बार जब रेटिंग एक्सेप्ट हो जाता है ना, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आज रेटिंग कर दिया अब अगले साल 12 महीने बाद कभी हम करेंगे। एज पर गाइडलाइंस एवरी रेटिंग नीड्स टू बी कंटिन्यूअसली मॉनिटर्ड। हमें टू द एक्सटेंट पॉसिबल रियल टाइम बेसिस पे अपडेटेड रेटिंग को रखना है, ठीक है। तो ये पैंडेमिक सिचुएशन में भी ना रेटिंग एजेंसीज जो है उनको एसेंशियल सर्विसेज में रखा गया। तो कभी भी हमारी ऑफिसेज बंद नहीं हुई, हमारी ऑफिसेज, हमारी नॉर्मल बिजनेसेस चालू रही। वी केप्ट ऑन इंटरेक्टिंग विद द क्लाइंट नॉट ओनली विद जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी अक्रॉस ऑल एंटिटीज, एंड हमें अपना काम करते रहना पड़ा, ऑब्वियसली विद इन द गाइडलाइंस एक्सेट्रा इशूड बाय द रेगुलेटर्स, जैसा भी है उसके हिसाब से हमने किया। एंड अगर किसी क्लाइंट को लगता है कि कुछ उनके कंपनी स्पेसिफिक अच्छी चीजें हुई हैं, तो क्लाइंट भी हमें रिक्वेस्ट कर सकता है इवन बिफोर एक्सपायरी ऑफ 12 मंथ्स, जो नॉर्मली 12 महीने में हम लोग एक बार रिव्यू करना होता है, बट विद इन दैट पीरियड भी अगर क्लाइंट को लगे कि कुछ अच्छी चीज हुई है उससे कंपनी में, वो रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं तो वो भी रिक्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं हमें। वी विल अगेन रिव्यू इट बेस्ड ऑन फैक्ट्स एंड जो भी उन्होंने डेटा शेयर किया। या साइमल्टेनियसली अगर रेटिंग एजेंसी को लगता है कि नहीं मुझे कुछ भी रिव्यू करना है, वेदर वो कंपनी स्पेसिफिक हो या इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक हो, तो हम लोग भी इंफॉर्मेशन सीख कर सकते हैं। ऐसा नहीं कि हमने आज कर दिया तो 12 महीने हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे। सो ये भी एक प्रोसेस है कि रेटिंग को करंट रखना है, लेटेस्ट जो सिचुएशन चल रही है इंडस्ट्री में वो रिफ्लेक्ट होना चाहिए रेटिंग। एंड ये जनरल है जो मैंने बोला, हमारा रेटिंग स्केल AAA से D तक होता है। एक RBI का रिक्वायरमेंट था, बासल 2 फ्रेमवर्क है, जहां पर कि बैंक्स को अपने कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी, उनके कितने कैपिटल रिक्वायर्ड है बैंक्स को, है ना, उनके लिए उन्होंने बोला कि जो उनके लोन एक्सपोजर है, जो लोन देते हैं उनमें कितना रिस्क है, एंड रिस्क डिटरमिन करने के लिए जो क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसीज हैं इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया में, उनकी रेटिंग, उनसे रेटिंग ली जाए, एंड डिपेंडिंग ऑन दैट रिस्क, है ना, उसके हिसाब से उनको रिस्क वेटेज लगेगा। अगर कोई AAA है तो मतलब उसमें रिस्क वेट 20% लग रहा है, कम रिस्क है, तो बैंक्स को भी कम कैपिटल की जरूरत पड़ेगी। तो बिकॉज बैंक्स को कम कैपिटल की जरूरत पड़ेगी तो वो दे वुड बी इन अ पोजीशन टू पास ऑन मोर बेनिफिट्स टू दैट पर्टिकुलर क्लाइंट। एंड सिमिलरली अगर रेटिंग नीचे है तो उसके हिसाब से रिस्क वेटेजेस मतलब बढ़ते जाते हैं, एंड नॉर्मली इससे लिंक होता है कॉस्ट ऑफ बोरिंग, इंटरेस्ट रेट वगैरह भी बढ़ते हैं। अभी नॉर्मली जो बेनिफिट्स होते हैं ना, एक तो सब जानते हैं कि ये जैसे मैंने एक चार्ट दिखाया है, ये कि नॉर्मली जो 10 ईयर गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी जो है अभी अराउंड वो 5.89% पे चल रही है। अगर कोई 10 साल के लिए लोन लेना चाहे तो क्या है, एंड बिकॉज दैट इज रिस्क फ्री, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का सिक्योरिटी रिस्क फ्री क्या बोरिंग रेट चल रहा है 5.89%। नाउ AAA में सबसे कम रिस्क है तो उसमें 0.56% पे रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट जुड़ जाएगा, फिर AA+, वैसे करते करते BBB- में जो गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी का रेट्स है उसमें और 5% रेट जुड़ जाएगा। तो दिस इज अ ब्रॉड बेंचमार्क, ऐसा नहीं कि एग्जैक्टली ऐसे होता है, जस्ट फॉर एन इलस्ट्रेशन हम लोग आपको समझाना चाह रहे हैं कि कैसे बेस्ड ऑन रेटिंग रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का लिंक होता है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इट्स अ फंक्शन ऑफ प्राइसिंग ऑफ रिस्क विद द रिटर्न। सो अगर रिस्क ज्यादा है तो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ज्यादा रहेगा, एंड वाइस वर्सा। बट बियॉन्ड दिस रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट की जो बात है, इसके अलावा भी बिकॉज देयर इज एन इंडिपेंडेंट एजेंसी हु इज डूइंग द ड्यू डिलिजेंस, एंड दिस हैज बिकम अ प्रैक्टिस इंडिया में। तो चलिए मैंडेट, इंडिया में भी रेटिंग एजेंसी जैसे हम लोग हैं मोर देन 25 ईयर्स से हैं, देयर आर अदर एजेंसीज ऑल्सो। इंडिया में भी रेटिंग एजेंसी कॉन्सेप्ट 25 साल से है, उससे ज्यादा समय से है। तो ऑब्वियसली बड़े बड़े कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं, वो लोग ज्यादा पहले रेटिंग कराते थे, बट जब से ये रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट हुआ 2008 के पास में, तो फिर बाकी सबको कवर किया गया, जिसमें कि मिड कॉर्पोरेट, स्मॉल कॉर्पोरेट एंड मीडियम साइज एंटिटीज, MSME सब आ गए उसमें कवरेज में। सो इसमें क्या होता है कि बिकॉज एक इंडिपेंडेंट ओपिनियन होता है ना, तो अल्टीमेटली तो बैंक को डिसाइड करना है, उनको लोन देना है, ठीक है, एंड उन्हें रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट डिसाइड करना है, या और क्या क्या बेनिफिट पास ऑन कर सकते हैं वो उनको सोचना है। सो उनके भी अपने प्रोसेसेस होते हैं, बट उसमें एक इनपुट इंडिपेंडेंट रेटिंग एजेंसी का रेटिंग भी होता है, ठीक है। इट्स नॉट हम लोग डिसाइड नहीं करते, इट्स अपॉन देयर इंटरनल पॉलिसीज। तो उसमें हमने देखा है कि काफी जगह हमने एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि जो लोन प्रोसेसिंग होता है ना वो फास्ट हो जाता है ना। फिर कितने बार जो रेटिंग होता है ना, तो उसमें और भी आपको बेनिफिट मिलते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ बेटर रिलेशन विद सप्लायर एंड कस्टमर। फॉर एग्जांपल सपोज कि आप कोई रॉ मटेरियल इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है ना। आप मान लीजिए कि रफ डायमंड इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं बाहर से, तो अगर उनको पता है जो सप्लायर है बाहर में, है ना, कि इनकी एक इंडिपेंडेंट रेटिंग एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल पे है, तो उनको लगेगा कि हाँ ये क्रेडिबल एंटिटी है इन टर्म्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल रिस्क प्रोफाइल, ये हमें टाइमली अपना पेमेंट कर देंगे रॉ मटेरियल सप्लाई का, ठीक है ना। वो सब चीजें भी होती हैं अपार्ट फ्रॉम मीटिंग द रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो मैंने बोला। ये मौलिक भाई की जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन काउंसिल की उनकी एक स्पेसिफिक रिक्वेस्ट थी कि बिकॉज जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर में काफी एंटिटीज जो है वो एमएसएमईज हैं, तो बियॉन्ड क्या क्या बेनिफिट होते हैं एमएसएमईज को रेटिंग कराने से, वो एक थोड़ा टच अपॉन करने के लिए तो हमने करीब आज से 1-1.5 साल पहले एक सर्वे किया था जिसमें हमने अपने 1004 जो कस्टमर्स हैं इन द एमएसएमई स्पेस, है ना, एमएसएमई सेगमेंट, नॉट ओनली इन जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, किसी भी सेक्टर में हो अक्रॉस इंडिया एमएसएमई सेक्टर में हमने सबसे बात किया था, हमसे पूछा था कि आपको क्या क्या बेनिफिट मिल रहा है, आपने रेटिंग कराया, आपको हमने ये 5-6 पॉइंट्स दिए थे, उनको बताया कि आपको क्या क्या बेनिफिट मिल रहा है। टू विच उन्होंने बोला कि एक जो उनके कस्टमर्स और सप्लायर्स को जो कॉन्फिडेंस है ना वो बेटर हुआ है, इंप्रूव हुआ है, बिकॉज नाउ दे कैन टेल कि एक इंडिपेंडेंट एजेंसी ने हमें ऐसा रेटिंग दिया है, ठीक है। तो 32% लोगों ने बोला कि मेरे जो कस्टमर सप्लायर उनका कॉन्फिडेंस हमारे ऊपर बढ़ा है, ठीक है। फिर जहां तक बैंकिंग वाली बात आई ना, वहां पर एक तो इंटरेस्ट रेट का लिंकेज होता है टू एन एक्सटेंट, तो 21% जो लोग हैं उन्होंने बोला कि उनका रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कम हुआ है, ठीक है। बट बियॉन्ड रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ना और भी चीजें होती हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट हुआ, किन्होंने बोला जो बैंक से आप डील करते हैं ना, तो एक ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट का भी एक एलिमेंट आता है, तो करीब 18% लोगों ने बोला कि हमारा ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट कम हुआ है। कुछ लोगों ने बोला मेरा जो लोन प्रोसेस करने का टाइम है ना वो कम हुआ है, वेदर वो फर्स्ट टाइम आप किसी के बैंक के पास आप प्रपोजल रख रहे हैं, ठीक है, या फिर आपका रिन्यूअल प्रपोजल भी है, जो जब तक वो रेटेड नहीं थे उसके कंपैरिजन में ऑन अ रिलेटिव बेसिस 16% लोगों ने बोला कि उनको लगा कि उनका लोन प्रोसेसिंग बैंक्स जल्दी कर रहे हैं। प्लस कितने बार बेस्ड ऑन बिजनेस रिक्वायरमेंट्स, वेदर वो टर्म लोन रिक्वायरमेंट है या वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट है, बिकॉज जैसे आपके बिजनेस ग्रो करेगी वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट्स बढ़ेगी, तो उसमें भी कोई एडिशनल फैसिलिटी या न्यू फैसिलिटीज अगर आप एक्सेस करना चाहते हैं, आपने प्रपोजल पुटअप किया बैंक से, तो 15% लोगों ने बोला कि हमें उसमें बेनिफिट हुआ है इन टर्म्स ऑफ सैंक्शन ऑफ एडिशनल और न्यू बैंक फाइनेंस। अब मैं जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर आता हूं एंड मैं अपने कलीग उज्जवल को रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि नाउ ही विल टेक ओवर, सो just give us around 10-15 seconds before Ujjwal takes over the presentation.
So Ranjan ji and Ujjwal, we have been receiving quite a few questions. So once you are completing your presentations, members are very much interested to know some of the answers, and I'll put it across.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Definitely. Now Ujjwal will take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you, Maulik Bhai, for the kind introduction. Based on the background of credit rating, its definition, and the assessment of loan repayment ability, we have devised an broad methodologies for manufacturing companies, as well as the specific focus on gems and jewelry industry as well. So we'll look into these key details with respect to what are the factors we look into, क्या factors हम देखते हैं, and to start with a brief background about what is the composition of the industry. It composes of primarily 4 segments: diamond hai, gold, silver, and others. Now this all forms a part of the gems and jewelry industry, but the risk factors as well as operating parameters, returns and everything is largely different. India has roughly around a major share with respect to diamond and gold, and we have a major share in exports. And as far as the gold is concerned, we are a largest importer, rather one of the largest importer as well as the consumer. While diamond is largely export oriented, gold demand is largely for meeting the domestic demand. We have seen in the recent past that the diamond studded gold jewelry as well as the proportion of gold jewelry जो export हो रहा है, that proportion has also increased. Now, all these segments, because of the wide base and sector specific, rather region specific demand and product trends, this sector has remained largely fragmented, competitive bhi hai, and it's very labor intensive. It gives employment to roughly more than 3 to 4 lakh people, and it's spread across India with particular segments in each region. Just to go through the gold value chain, we can divide this part in basically upstream and downstream segment in where India holds a prominent position. So it starts with basically gold mining, goes to refining, bullion trading, jewelry manufacturing, and wholesale business. So while gold mining is largely happens in China, Australia, USA, Russia, and South Africa, from the refining part till the wholesale part, India has a very prominent position because of two reasons. One is to meet the high domestic demand, and second, to meet the export demand as well of gold jewelry as well as gold studded jewelry with diamonds and precious stones. This also forms a part of the gold jewelry business is spread across India, whereas we see at the diamond portion, which is largely concentrated in Gujarat. In case of diamond value chain, it starts with mining, then rough trading, polished, jewelry manufacturing, and jewelry wholesale. Now this segment is को तीन भाग में divide कर सकते हैं. One is upstream, where is the mining is conducted. The midstream, where India holds a prominent position, India holds a major share, and the downstream, which is basically jewelry manufacturing and jewelry wholesale. Now, unlike the gold part, where India has a very, very developed capacity, developed artisans, and we have karigars who manufactures handmade jewelries of exceptional quality. Diamond jewelry itself is something that we don't have not focused so far, or we don't specialize in. So the rough trading, polished manufacturing, and polished distribution, this is the segment in the value chain where India has a major focus, rather holds an leadership position in the world of roughly around 90% in terms of pieces. And over a period of time, which this industry started in 70s, and now it has a leadership positions, and we are slowly moving towards a higher value carat diamonds as well. We are developing capabilities as well as technological developments is helping us to make us better position in the overall market. Now, this midstream segment, especially where the India is prevalent, is a price taker at both ends. Now, from miners also, we cannot able to negotiate prices, as well as from the jewelry manufacturers and wholesalers. The price is determined by the market forces. The miners determine their own prices, and the jewelry is depending upon demand and supply. So all that squeeze happens in the midstream segment where India has a prominent position. And it has not been able to have a pricing power either with miners or as jewelry retailers. And that we have seen is basically a problem, rather one of the problems with the diamond industry. Just to go into detail about what Ranjan sir has started regarding what we look at a rating, what its basic definitions, and what are the key criteria. I will just briefly go through the gems and jewelry rating methodology and our approach. This approach is basically takes into consideration four aspects that has been discussed in by Ranjan sir in detail in the first part of the presentation. It starts with management, business, financial, and industry. Now, this is a part of the entire manufacturing industry as well as retail. We'll look into the specific aspects of gems and jewelry part, and gems and jewelry manufacturing, retail, and meant for export. So it starts with the assessment of management risk. As Sir said, the promoters' views with respect to the industry, their strategy of running the business, their experience, how their track record has been. Then it basically governs the business risk and financial risk as well. And roughly the external risk, which is the industry risk, which this industry has gone through a lot of in roughly around past 5 years, right from increasing of custom duties on gold to imposition of custom duty on polished diamonds. There has been imposition of duty on rough diamonds as well. So there is an regulatory interventions as well as other developments in the macroeconomic environment, which has impacted the trade balances, which has been steady so far since this industry came into place. We'll explore all these points in detail in the going forward. To start with the management risk. Now, this gemstone jewelry has a very old tradition in India with respect to gold and our cultural affinity with gold ornaments. And the diamond is relatively new, which started roughly around in the 80s. So in our specific assessment with respect to credit ratings, we look into what has been the experience of the promoter or group in the gemstone jewelry sector, what has been their past track record of operations, especially during industry or economic downturns. This industry has faced many, starting from 2008, 2009 downturns to a situation of oversupply in the market, increase in custom duties on gold, which impacted the inflow or other import of diamonds and increase the cases of smuggling and so on and so forth. The important part is the financial flexibility of the group also and their past record of track infusion. So as sir said that the servicing of debt is of primary importance, and that is basically covered in the definition, which is primarily assessed also from the financial flexibility which the group has and their past record of fund infusion as and when it is necessary to meet the debt servicing obligations. And fourth is constitution of the entity. Constitution of the entity takes into consideration what is the risks with respect to capital withdrawals, what is the risk with respect to retention of money that has been infused by the promoters. In case of proprietorship and partnerships, the firms have a free hand, rather the own promoters have a free hand of infusion and withdrawal of capital as and when they deem so. And in case of private limiteds and limited companies, there is a reasonable level of corporate governance as well as penalties are involved in case of withdrawal of capital. Over a period of time, last 5 to 6 years, depending upon bankers' instance and requirement of multiple other regulatory bodies, we have seen a movement of partnership and proprietorship concerns into a private limited and limited space in this sector as well. Going forward to business risk, which is primarily dependent upon how the promoter's strategy has been in running the business. If we take the segment wise, then in the curtain polishing segment as well as gold jewelry manufacturing, India holds a prominent space. However, because of this particular reason itself, there is an intense competition in the industry. We have a very large base of small and medium corporates and few large corporates present in the industry. And the bargaining power of all the companies is extremely small because we're reliant on imports, and in exports also we don't have a pricing power. So for cut and polishing diamonds, what has been the rough time and what is the procurement strategy, what is the diversification, geographical, customer and product. And in gold jewelry, we look at the hedging models, and in retail, we look at how the stores have been performing. Coming to financial risk and with respect to cash flow assessment, we look at how the cash flows has been, and that has been analyzed in a multiple ways through either financial ratios, traditional cash flow analysis, liquidity and financial flexibility, working capital analysis, and foreign exchange risk. The primary instance, again, with respect to the definition of credit rating, that how well the promoter or the company is equipped for meeting the debt obligations and have a cushion if the need arises so. So detailing a bit on the cash flow analysis, we have operations, investment and financing. Just like a balance sheet is divided, rather the financials are divided between P&L and balance sheet. The cash flows are also divided between the nature of such cash flows. In case of gems and jewelry, we primarily place reliance on cash flow from operations, which is utilized for debt payment, meeting capex, and fixed assets requirement. Key points that we look into is unutilized working capital lines of credit, which are the cushions available with them, unencumbered liquid investments in the form of fixed deposits or investments in liquid mutual funds. What has been the percentage of net working capital, which basically gives that how much funding is required in net working capital. And going through, we also see that how much is funded by bank debt and how much is the promoter's money therein. Working capital cycle and turnover ratios. Working capital cycle is important in case of exports as well as domestic, and turnover ratios is how far the companies are good enough to rotate their stock and get new stock, because the fashion and every requirements are changing pretty fast, and it changes with the demography of the stores or the client concentration of the companies. And the first and foremost requirement of timeliness in realization of receivables, which directly puts pressure if it doesn't come on liquidity as well as debt servicing requirements, because in case of export, most of the companies rely on PCFC and PSSFC limits, which are like a time-based uh, repayment obligations, unlike cash credits. Uh, the things we have not covered is the collateral cover, because that has already been mentioned. Our primary objective is to check the repayment capability of the companies. Industry risk, we have already, means most of us are pretty aware of it. These are the normal businesses, the normal industry risk which all the companies are exposed to. Over and above, the gems and jewelry industry is right now facing a tough time because of the pandemic levels. The reason why when we say that gems and jewelry industry is exposed to a higher risk is because of its discretionary nature and high priced items, which normally falls within the later part of category, and it's basically a discretionary buying, not a need based buying. These are the industry updates. What has happened since the outbreak of pandemic? It was expected, as and said, that it's basically a discretionary based buying. We have seen a drop in all segments of the business, be it cut and polished diamond exports, be it jewelry exports, or be it in the operations of entities in India and retail as well. So domestic gold demand jewelry, everyone has taken a beating of roughly around 50 to 60%, which will take even further time to rectify going forward. As Maulik sir said, we have a very good portfolio as far as rating of gems and jewelry is concerned, that we have tried to show it over here. We have an active cases of 114 in the portfolio, and with 19% in A and in triple V segment, which comes to around 43%, 50% is in the investment grade category. Just about the care ratings, I would like to give you a brief. Maulik sir has already said much about it. I won't take it long. We have an experience of more than 25 years in this industry. We already have a reputation of being well accepted amongst bankers, instruments, and other key off takers. Over a period of time, we have also set up offices in different countries and are backed by a highly experienced team. Thank you for all, and Maulik sir, I would request you to please host the Q&A sessions. I believe the participants would have a lot of questions and want to discuss it.
So thank you so much, both Ranjanji and Ujjwalji. This has been quite an insight into how rating companies looks at the industry and the companies. So you have highlighted a couple of points. One, the benefit to the companies. Secondly, you talked about how you are looking at various risk, management risk, business risk, and also you have covered the industry updates. Now, I'm going to cover all of that points in my Q&A, but before I do that, there are questions which are pouring in from members, participants. Let me pick that up and straight away put it up to you. Either one of you can respond to that. And I'll begin with the first question. Somewhere in your slides, you talked about the benefits. You talked about the survey of 1,004 companies, and you said the benefits that accrues to various firms. The experience of the members are completely different. And that is that in the earlier regime, it used to be that when they would interact with banks, banks would look at the promoters, banks would look at the reputation of the firms and extend the lending. Now the world has changed. The only focus is on collateral. And now, of course, there is one more angle of the rating. So in case if the bank does not want to lend, they will pick up the rating as an excuse and put it up. Is this really the benefit that you highlighted are real? Experience is different. What is your comment?
I think as far as these particular benefits which we tabulated or showed in the slide, this is a real survey which we did. It was done around a year and a half back, We normally do it every 2 years. This was done 1 year and a half back around that time. So next survey we will be doing in a 6 months time. So this is an actual survey which we did. Obviously, we interacted with our rated clients, and being MSME, it's not as if those ratings would be investment grade. There would be many below investment grade ratings also over here. So it is their opinion also. It's not as if the ratings are below investment grade, so they felt they didn't get any benefit out of it. And one more aspect over here which I would like to cover is that I said that these ratings are based on a AAA to D scale, on which we compare everyone, the largest of the largest companies and the smallest SMEs also. One more thing, there is a product which we offer as within our group company, that is an SME grading thing, SME rating we call it. Okay, so there the SME rating is on a scale of 1 to 8, where 1 is the highest creditworthiness and 8 is the lowest. So because one important aspect is about the size and scale of operations of a company, that is an important input. So when we do normal credit ratings, we compare with everyone. Okay, so there are large multinational companies also with which whom we compare, and as I said in the beginning, it's a relative assessment. So relative to those companies, where does a particular SME fall under? So that is maybe where some of the MSME companies, they might have faced issues. But as I said, there is another product called SME rating, wherein we compare them on a relative basis amongst other SMEs only. So when we say SMEs up to 250 crore turnover, 50 crore of investment in plant and machinery, so within that space up to 250 crore turnover, the best of the best could be SME 1, and on a relative basis we'll compare. So that is also something which we offer to our clients through our group company, because we don't do it through care ratings, because here we only do the regulated thing. So that also has given them a lot of benefits.
Okay.
And this is a factual thing. We have done seminars for bankers also. There are many bankers who ask certain smaller companies to go for those SME ratings also. And based on that, as I said in the beginning, we don't give any recommendation to say invest or lend, etc. This is an independent opinion which they take it, and obviously they have their own judgment and own other analysis which they do. And based on that, these benefits have accrued to the customers. This is something which we have discussed. And as I said in the beginning, this is not only for Gems and Jewelry, across MSME sector, across India, we have presence in the MSME segment, and this is the actual feedback which we had received.
रंजन जी, रेटिंग एजेंसी के बारे में और एक चीज भी कहा जाता है, वो भी अगेन एक्सपीरियंस से मैं बता रहा हूँ, that again this is something which has been put it up as a question as well, that when you have rated companies, there are high rated companies which has defaulted in the past.
Correct.
Whereas, you know, the ratings scales are lower. The company, in fact, by and large, it has been, I mean, we have never seen a default in that. So एक experience ये रहा है कि rating agency does more harm than good. And हम ये एक बात कर रहे हैं कि benefits. So ये दो चीज को कैसे कनेक्ट किया जाए?
तो मैं ऐसा बोलता हूँ कि जो भी रेटिंग एजेंसीज है ना, मैं किसी का नाम नहीं लूंगा, है ना, जो आपने बोला ना जो हायर रेटेड डिफॉल्ट हुआ, अगर कोई हमने बहुत सारे हजारों एंटिटी वी रेट अक्रॉस सेक्टर्स, ठीक है, एंड हमारे जो रेटिंग्स है ना, दोज आर इन टर्म्स ऑफ से ऑडिट और असेसमेंट, ऑल द रेगुलेटर्स दे डू इट. एंड एक बहुत बेसिक चीज है कि जो मैंने बोला ना रिलेटिव असेसमेंट है, ये कोई साइंस नहीं है कि मैंने रेटिंग दिया तो वो डिफॉल्ट नहीं होगा. आइडियली बेस्ड ऑन अ प्रोफेशनल जजमेंट, बेस्ड ऑन आवर इंडिपेंडेंट ओपिनियन एंड द एक्सपीरियंस व्हिच वी कैरी, देयर इज अ बेस्ट एफर्ट व्हिच इज मेड. ठीक है. एंड मेन थिंग होता है ना, उसको ऑर्डिनलिटी ऑफ रेटिंग बोलते हैं. अगर ट्रिपल ए है तो उसका लीस्ट प्रोबेबिलिटी, ट्रिपल ए में भी जीरो प्रोबेबिलिटी नहीं है, कभी डिफॉल्ट नहीं करेगा. देयर शुड बी लीस्ट प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफॉल्ट. अगर डबल ए आएगा थोड़ा हायर प्रोबेबिलिटी, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, उस तरह से जाता है. एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई से ए या डबल ए कभी डिफॉल्ट नहीं किया, हो गया होगा डिफॉल्ट, बट दैट वुड हैव बीन डिस्पाइट आवर बेस्ट पॉसिबल एफर्ट्स, एंड रीजंस कुड बी मे बी सम सिग्निफिकेंट negative thing could have happened in the industry, or it could be the result of some fraud also, which beyond the point, as I said in the beginning, we are not doing an audit. Okay, but one thing which is missed out in this aspect is that अगर कोई 1% खराब हुआ ना, उसका नाम होता है कि हाँ इनका एक A रेटिंग डिफॉल्ट हो गया, बट जो अदर 95-99% जहां रेटिंग सही होते हैं ना, वो that don't tend to get publicized. जो नेगेटिव न्यूज आता है ना, that comes in. So maybe that's a perception, But otherwise, if suppose this wouldn't have any benefit, no, then it would not have prevailed across the length and breadth of the country, across various sectors.
रंजन जी, परसेप्शन में और एक चीज में मैं बताता हूँ आपको, एंड वो ये है कि रेटिंग एजेंसीज हमारी ट्रेड को समझता नहीं है। एंड मैं उसका एक रिसेंट एग्जांपल देता हूँ। जैसे आपके इंडस्ट्री अपडेट में आपने एक कमेंट दिया है कि इट इज अ डिस्क्रिशनरी स्पेंडिंग एंड विच विल गेट हिट। आई मीन एक असेसमेंट है रेटिंग एजेंसीज की कि पैंडेमिक कंडीशंस है, लॉकडाउन हुआ है, सबकी इनकम लेवल कम हुई है, नेचुरली डिस्क्रिशनरी स्पेंडिंग जो भी है उसका इम्पैक्ट होगा, एंड जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी इज पार्ट ऑफ दैट discretionary spending. So this sector will get impacted. Now let me give you a completely different picture. हमारी इंडस्ट्री में पिछले 3 महीने में एंड जो डेवलपमेंट हुआ है वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, एंड स्पेशली मोर फॉर द रेटिंग एनालिसिस और अ क्रेडिट रिस्क एनालिसिस। हमने देखा है कि सभी गवर्नमेंट ने बिजनेसेस को सपोर्ट किया है, एंड स्पेशली वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज की बात करें तो। सो देयर इज अ फिस्कल स्टिमुलस. Our larger portion of the industry serves to the overseas market. We are into the exports of either a jewelry or a diamond. So whether it is a European markets or a US market, there has been a significant amount of fiscal stimulus. In fact, the experience of the businessmen in those countries are the business conditions were never so good that we are seeing it now, because of which there is a significant demand and order backlog. Secondly, अगर local industry की बात करें, especially gold, ज्वेलरी, लास्ट 3 महीने में, और हमने ये देखा है चाहे वो डायमंड ज्वेलरी सेगमेंट हो या गोल्ड ज्वेलरी सेगमेंट हो, मे बी बिकॉज देयर इज अ क्लास ऑफ पीपल which has definitely had their income coming lower, but they have also saved significantly, because abhi spending on the restaurant, bars and all that is not there. Luxurious travels is out, holidays are out, so there is a money which is available and they are spending. All said and done, even local industry is doing well. So एक reality है, and आज आप जाइए बीडीपी में या कोई भी ज्वेलर्स को मिलिए, they are actually booming, their business is extremely well and they have an order backlog. So आपकी जो assumption थी discretionary spending को लेके और जिसमें आप downgrade कर रहे थे versus the reality, I mean, how do you connect to this reality, and how frequently will you then go back and do a reassessment of your sector analysis?
I think Ujjwal will touch upon it, and obviously he has data point. आपने 3 महीने की बात की, मैं जनरल इतना बोलता हूँ, हम लोग सिर्फ 3 महीने नहीं देखते हैं, हम लोग एक लॉन्ग टर्म देखते हैं, 6 महीना, 1 साल। एंड जो आप बोल रहे हैं ना कि अभी 3 महीने में इंप्रूव हुआ है, इट इज ऑब्वियसली Q1 के बाद में कोई भी ऐसा सेक्टर नहीं होगा जिसका इंप्रूव नहीं हुआ होगा। Q1 when it was almost lockdown, month on month basis, a sequential basis में almost every other industry would have improved. But obviously we do take cognizance of that कि ठीक है, there is a recovery. But एक another aspect would be कि आप इन्हीं महीनों में या इन्हीं पीरियड में आप YOY देखें ना तो कैसा रहा है, वेदर YOY में भी सेल्स बढ़ा है या कम हुआ है. So I think I'll hand over to Ujjwal to talk about it. He has those industry data also. And yes, Ujjwal.
So sir, I agree with your point with respect to recovery in demand. I would like to go a bit further than pre-pandemic levels. Right, I would like to go to calendar year of 2019, right, where the industry was largely functioning without any external impact of any pandemic. So during that period also, right, industry was going through a bad phase because first the primary and key market for export of diamonds, which was basically Hong Kong, and so there was an economic and political unrest there. Right, there was an ongoing trade war between China and US. China is again a major market for jewelry consumption. US is the largest market for jewelry consumption, and again a polished diamond consumer also, and which has a roughly 50% market share. Right, with now this was basically the industry scenario. Europe itself was going through a tough phase with respect to fiscal stimulus, non-availability, Brexit exit, uncertainty, and so on. So from 9 to 10 quarters, we have seen that there has been with respect to the diamond segment, there has been a downturn, right? For the perspective of domestic companies, we have seen that they have been sitting with enough inventory, and which they was basically not able to sell. So there was already a pressure on polished prices in few segments of the diamonds. Now let's come to gold. In last 3 years, from if we take say calendar year CY 18, 17, 18, and 19, gold imports in India has dropped continuously, right? Because of two reasons. One, that the export factors were already there, which were not conducive for the industry. और दूसरा ये है कि in the domestic market itself, right, they were facing challenges with respect to the growth जो project कर रहे थे कि domestic market में होगा with respect to jewelry, retail jewelry of diamond as well as gold or any other form of studded jewelry was not there. In price terms, there was a growth, but when we look at purely volume terms, there has been a continuous degrowth in last 3 years. Now come to this pandemic. After this, when there was a finally hope of that inventory levels and everything will be able to sell it off, DBS increased their site of January to the highest ever in 9 sites. January, at the end of January, we had this pandemic levels, right? And everything came to zero. It means practically there was nothing happening in the month of April, right? It is an unprecedented, though aaj tak kabhi nahi hua across any industry, right? So there was only pace from zero, and that is positive move. As in when travel restrictions, movement of goods, and everything started, there was an upturn in that. And we also said that, and there is a one-line comment in that report as well, that we expect the festival to help recovery in demand, especially in Q3 and Q4. Discretionary spending comment is also there. The comment of Q3 and Q4 recovery is also there. But we say that on an overall basis, when Q1 itself, right, when the Chinese New Year demand has not been met, when the operations has come to a zero, on an overall basis for 21, we expect a drop off in demand because of two changes. It was not unlike the 2008-2009 crisis where the financial crisis only was into picture. We are right now faces crisis with respect to health, that is in personal level. We are right now facing the crisis with respect to finance, availability of finance, with the gems and jewelry is already struggling with because of few people in the industry. And third is with respect to my ability to save, my ability to move out, my ability to spend. And fourth is the unemployment levels. Now, US has seen a drastic rise in unemployment level to the extent of 30%, right? Europe itself had a lower unemployment levels, but because of Brexit crisis, no one knew what is going to happen. So that again, the demand of jewelry was remaining at a similar level, if not increasing. And third, with respect to the domestic market, we are uncomfortable with the gold price of 50,000 rupees. That has been the emotion, or rather the mindset that it has crossed, and it no longer induces the impulse buying that I have some cash and I'll buy some fashion jewelry, I'll buy something, and that sort. Now the pandemic level again has not. We are not away from it. We have unlock 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we are not away from it. We have a second round of wave of COVID already started. London has got into a lockdown from yesterday. A few segments of UK are already in lockdown. France is going into lockdown. Thailand protests are very heavy. Armenia and Azerbaijan are again at war. So there is nothing which is giving that a positive signal that this demand will come back to pre-pandemic levels or will increase from here on. So when we say that 21 will be impacted, so first we already have a zero base of zero. From that there is no other way but to improve. So we are happy to see that this demand is increasing. September and October, the DBS site has also increased, but they themselves are projecting that our production itself will be reduced by 25 to 30%. Alros says that they will reduce by 25%. DBS is already at 18%. 18 million carats is their 9 months performance. They'll say we'll reach by around 22 to 23 million, which will roughly around 25.
Let me intervene and tell you that amongst all of this scenario that you talked about, and this is some real data points, if you really go back in the last 3 to 4 months, of course, with the due help from government and RBI both, where they've extended the moratorium. Ranjanji or Ujjwal, can I just request you to put the screen down so that we can probably have the full screen for them all of us?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. Now, yes.
thanks. So see, if you really look at it, the entire trade works on the working capital cycle, and I'm going to connect that to the topic of the session as well, which is a credit flow based, cash flow based credit assessment. if you really look at it, this is the entire industry demand and supply scenario that you talked about, and we fully appreciate. And there are going to be uncertainty and predictions. We don't know which way we will probably go to if there is another wave of virus. The point is that all the players in the industry have been able to manage their working capital funding cycle through various routes, A, through government support, B, through their own deleveraging process. So in your own analysis, and I want to now connect this to the recent update that we have been seeing it from the bank in particular, where even when they look at the way they will lend to a business from an earlier assessment, now they're focusing more on the cash flow based lending, CFL, as we have been hearing from all the banks. So the reality that is in front of us, I mean, you look at all the firms within the sector, I don't see there has been cases of default or delay. Moratorium supports have been taken. They have been able to manage their cash flow very well. In view of this, A, how do you look at the new regime, which is focusing more on the cash flow? And B, from the experiences of these firms and the companies within the trade, what is your assessment? What does that tell you? I think Sudhir,
I think it is a internet issue at their end. Just we'll check it out one day.
okay. So all the members, please excuse us. There seems to be some problem with internet at care end. They should be back in a minute, and we will continue to debate and discuss on the points that have been highlighted by some of the members on the chat box, on the Q&A. We will pick that up and get their views on the same. We plan to conduct this. Sudhir, what is the time that we have? Up to what, 12:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
So we will continue this up to 12:30. So we have another 20 minutes. Yes.
I think there is a internet issue.
Yeah, he just called to say that he just got disconnected. He will log in again. Please bear with us. And in the meantime, members who are there, please put up your thoughts, your questions on the deliberation so far, and any other question that you may want to put up. I have a few questions which still I have to take up, which I'm going to do it once they log in again. सुधीर एक बार उनको भी चेक कर दीजिए.
Yes, I am checking.
They are finding it difficult to enter.
Please wait.
Yes, they are back.
Yes, Maulik bhai.
Yeah. Welcome back. So,
Yes.
so as I said, most of the banks are focusing more on now cash flow based lending, CFL. And even if when you look at from your point of view, the credit risk assessment, the firms have been able to manage their cash flows over last few months. A, through a bank support, and B, they have their own restraint on purchases, managing their cycles, all of that.
Correct.
Would you then factor that into a positive aspect? So I want your response from two places. One is talk something about CFL as you know, your insights into that. Secondly, specific to our firms, will you then consider them positively that yes, there has been a significant amount of management on the cash flow front, and here is a case for the rating upgrade or a rating stability. So just your views on that.
Sir, I would appreciate the fact that most of the companies have excessive restraint with respect to import of rough diamonds and import of gold because of reasonable uncertainty associated with the lockdowns, which kept on increasing during the early phase of the pandemic. Now, just to give a brief data point, and I guess you will appreciate it very much, that as a CARE Ratings, no investment grade entity in the entire gems and jewelry portfolio rated by us has been downgraded.
Has been
Downgraded.
So no investment grade companies have been downgraded.
No, because of this pandemic, right? When we say that discretionary spending will reduce and there will be an impact on demand and everything, we have revised our industry outlook to negative, but none of the ratings of the industry players has been revised or downgraded.
And when we talk of ratings, no, ratings have two parts. One is the rating. For example, if I say triple B, so triple B is the rating, and then there is an outlook, whether outlook is stable, negative, positive. Or when certain major developments happen, then we place ratings on credit watch. And then credit watch can also be positive, developing, or negative. So certain entities, while rating could have been maintained at triple B or A, depending on the relative strengths, outlook could have changed. At a triple B stable could have become a triple B negative, or a stable could have become a credit watch negative. These things could have happened, but obviously when such a big event like a pandemic has happened, that is what has been what has happened in our investment grade portfolio. So obviously beyond the industry, we also look at that individual companies cash flow availability, how they are managing. We obviously take into cognizance the fact that the regulator, they provided those moratoriums, etc. So those also help the companies in the sector, and obviously certain companies, they undertook various cost control measures also. So overall cash flows have been managed in that sense. So no major.
So will that really go positive for the companies?
No, then it will depend on company to company. Then when we do ratings, no, we seek certain basic information about their cash flow management, etc., the inventory level, their receivables, for example. Now receivables, whether pandemic or non-pandemic, one major issue, especially for the export-oriented gems and jewelry players, is that what is the data is about the receivables. Okay, that is a major thing which has happened. In fact, most of the high-profile or large defaults which happen, no, it's about suddenly those payments not coming in. There is an information asymmetry part. Now, the trade which happens, what idea do we have about those counterparties abroad? In fact, many transactions happen through group entities. Are those financials of group entities shared? So entities who share those group entity details, okay, they obviously are more transparent. They give us more clarity. As a rating agency, we need more and more clarity. So, and what is the debt level or what is the balance sheet of those group entities? So it's obviously there are interlinkages. So yes,
one important point that you are highlighting here, I'm just picking it up for every member's consumption as well, is that more and more you share, more and more you are transparent with the rating agencies. It enables you to give a different perspective when you are evaluating certain companies.
Correct.
That is,
we have experienced certain companies, they are much more transparent in sharing information, and certain companies, they resist. So it depends on the level of information you share, because that enables us to go in depth and understand the cash flow point of view. Because obviously most of these exports, they are not LC backed. Okay, we ultimately at the end of the day, we want that payment should come in. So if suppose hypothetically those are LC backed, then we don't have a concern. If the counterparty doesn't pay, payment will come from the bank. Okay, but because the trade is such that it is to any entity you name, no, it's not as if the entity is directly selling to the leading jewelers. We have, for example, say Signet, etc., and there are certain jewelers entities which are listed. Michael Hill is listed. There is entities in China or Hong Kong which are listed. So at the end of the day, maybe those ultimately would be going to those players only, those major retailers. Okay, so the financial health of those major listed retailers we can gauge by looking at their publications, their financials which are published on their respective country stock exchange. We get an idea about how the end result is going, how the end consumer demand is there. But in this value chain, if I'm looking at an Indian entity, they are not showing them as a direct customers. It is routed through group entities. So you show me that entire chain, know how that money is going, and whether in those group entities, what is the debt? Yes.
Let's say if I have a company which is selling directly to those companies, and I have a B company which is selling through their office and to that company, will you treat them separately?
Obviously, it depends upon which company. So, for example, if suppose someone has, say, a fairly significant share of sales, some of these known players,
Versus an indirect sales, for example.
yes, so direct sales, and we obviously, and then it depends on that counterparty. If those are larger players,
Yes,
okay,
counterparty.
then obviously that is better. Obviously, it's better.
We have also seen, and this is a related point, so I'm just putting it up here, that many a times when you look at the balance sheet, you look at supplier credit. Now, I'm presuming, and you can just validate, when you say supplier credit, is it a positive or a negative?
No,
From
in
a
terms of,
rating standalone, I mean, the fact that suppliers are giving you a credit,
okay,
would that be taken as a positive for the company, or you will look at it from
No,
where
no.
the suppliers?
Yes, yes. Obviously, we'll try to look at it. For example, as I said, no, most of this trade happens through group entities. So if that supplier credit is from some associate or group entity, we would like to see what is the position of that entity to extend that supplier credit.
So you
Is there
go
debt?
beyond that and look at even those aspects as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
In
We would
your
like to look at it.
analysis.
Yes, yes, definitely. Whether there is debt on that group entity, because ultimately it's all linked. So we
Got it.
do need to look at it also.
So this again
And
is an
also,
important point I
yes,
think that you are highlighting, that
correct.
prima facie you don't just restrict yourself to what you see on the balance sheet.
Yes,
The
yes, no.
effort is to go beyond it.
Yes, yes, definitely.
And again, the related point, like coming to inventory that you talked about, Ujjwal, in your presentation, the inventory risk. I mean, the inventory itself has gone through a complete U-turn, especially on the diamond side. And I'll come to the gold part, because gold, there is a entire hedging mechanism and the
Yes.
impact of that. But especially in gold, where I mean diamond, where there is not much hedging instruments available, the inventory price dipped somewhere in March, April, and now it has bounced back. So your view on the trade, on the companies in April, May, June versus today, it may be completely different. How will you incorporate into your rating, and will that really benefit get passed on to the firms?
Sir, when we look into this part of cash flow from operations, right, especially during this post-pandemic era, the focus is on two parts. One is respect to the liquidity which the company already has to meet if any requirement arises. And second is what has been their movement in cash flows with respect to what has been the receivables, what has been the movement of current assets, including utilization levels of bank lines, right? All this basically remains independent with respect to the inventory valuation which with the company follows, or rather the movements of industry inventory values. The primary focus when in a manufacturing concern is with respect to the volume traded, with respect to volume they had, the policies of inventory valuation, whether it has been consistently applied or not, and so on and so forth. The values of particularly inventory, whether the profits or the losses, right, unless significant, is not considered. So as I'll come back to your previous question and the second part of it with respect to what has been the cash flow level assessment. So during this phase, right from start of the declaration of lockdown in the last week of March, our primary focus has been assessing how the cash flows of the company is suited. So when the announcement of moratorium came in the last week of March, but from the early point of time, when we say that the bills are up for maturity, right? So whether there is enough cash available with the company to meet the debt obligations or not, right? Post the announcement of moratorium, our analysis has been primarily whether the company has applied it or not, right? With respect to delay in receivability of bills or with respect to servicing of interest. So the entire focus when we say has been on the cash flows, how much is receivable, how much is the payable liability, and what is the surplus available in the form of liquid investments or unused lines of credit, right? This is enabled to give us a clear idea that with respect to the debt servicing probability of default, that is what the definition of credit rating deals with. And that's one of the reasons when we have revised the outlooks with respect to, we might see that there might be a dip in scale because of the associated high cost of doing business right now, because none of the entities are equipped with doing business, in an what do we call is in a non-physical way or going a digital way, right? Travel restrictions are in place, so we might see that challenges will reduce the market share a bit in the current financial year. Going forward, maybe when the new ways are developed in 22 or 23, it will come back to that the pre-COVID era. but the way of doing business obviously will change.
So इसमें like for example about the bank facility utilization. So if a firm has even during this time fully utilized their bank facility, would that go negative for them versus the firms which has kept almost say 50% of their facility unutilized?
So I would say that what is the liquidity, in my presentation also we have highlighted the part of the liquidity assessment in the form of receivables, in the form of unutilized bank lines, in the form of surplus liquidity as on the balance sheet date, in the form of investments in liquid mutual funds or liquid assets which are readily available to meet debt servicing obligations. So of course, yes, unutilized bank lines is certainly an advantage where it can be made to for utilization of working capital requirements as and when they arise. But what is the on a practical scenario, what has happened in all this post pandemic is that jewelers have not been buying gold. They are restricting their inventory. There was already enough rough inventory with the players, so they don't need to buy rough. They are playing with the inventory what they had and polished both and are basically selling it. So there has been no requirement of fresh usage of funds, be it from promoter or from bank lines. And we have seen most of the companies are utilizing money and reducing their reliance on debt. That has been the few interactions with the key players that have been having, that this is what their primary motive is. They are also going on a wait and watch scenario, that we see that festival demand will increase, but whether it is sustaining or not. That has been basically a midterm outlook of most of the companies. It's basically a wait and watch scenario. On a practical side, most few reputed companies have unutilized bank lines to meet if the rough diamond requirement increases.
Sure.
One related question, Maulik bhai, which we normally face, no? For example, when we say export bills receivables, okay? So it's not as if these export bills are specific. This is an instrument made specific for the gems and jewelry sector, the diamonds. It is applies to everyone. Maybe an automobile exporter, a bearing an exporter, a textile exporter. It applies to everyone. But in our experience, see, every bill has a due date, okay? What we have observed that why is it a phenomenon that especially in gems and jewelry and diamond sector, that these bills don't come on the due date. So there is a leeway of 30 days. It's fine, there's a leeway of 30 days. So as per our definition also, if it comes within 30 days of the due date, that is not a default, but that is definitely not a good sign. I would just like to understand, as to so many other sectors who are into export oriented, their bills come on time. Why in the gems and jewelry sector that issue is there? Maybe it can come 5 days after the due date, 15 days after the due date. Why so? Why so? And that is nothing related to the pandemic. That is a general concern on the industry. Why it happens? Maybe you can throw some light on it.
Yeah, so I think rather than throwing a light right now on that, I would put it slightly differently, given that we have participants. See, and most of them are also from MSME. What's Ranjanji you have highlighted is a very relevant point for all of us to really look at, everyone to look at. That for us, it may be just few days delay, but the implication of that is entirely on the rating assessment.
Correct.
Because ultimately, how we manage our cycles,
yes.
We may have our own calculation, but what is shown on paper, as even and just for everyone's understanding, this is slightly technical, but let me clarify that. Clearly, even for rating agencies are driven by SEBI-related regulations. Ranjanji, if I may say.
Yes.
However, for a bank loan rating, there is a specific guidance from Reserve Bank of India that is driven by what bank will put it up as a default. So default recognition itself is within the RBI regulations. And जिसमें वर्किंग कैपिटल के लिए 30 डेज का टाइम दिया गया है. एक्चुअली उसके अलावा सब जगह एक दिन का डिले भी डिफॉल्ट है. करेक्ट. हमारे लिए वो 30 डेज का है. सो आई थिंक दिस इज मोर फॉर ऑल द MSMEs who are here, you are present. This is one critical aspect that we need to look at it, and this will actually help us. Help the rating, help the assessment, help the external view on the.
Correct. And one limited point कि 30 days is some sort of a grace period additional. So आप क्यों 30 days में जाते हैं? आप टाइम पे पेमेंट करें ना आप. So someone who pays on due date and someone who pays within 30 days, there will be a difference. Obviously, someone who pays within those 30 days, it is not a default.
Yeah.
It is not a default, because default means if you pay after 30 days, then it's default.
Yeah.
But why stretch it? That's the limited one. Why stretch it
Yes.
beyond the due date? As a matter of discipline, that is what I can
And
say.
sir, this is
Very important.
relevant, especially where the credit period is always more than 90 days. You know, the normal credit period offered in the industry, वो हमेशा 90 दिन से ज़्यादा ही होता है, 90, 120 days and so on. And then we have this delay period coming in. So it's not like the bill is due in 5 days or 10 days or 15 days, and उसमें 5 दिन delay होता है. It is like 90 दिन का credit है, and then the bill gets overdue for another 10 days or 15 days. That is something that has been query for us for many years now, which has been unanswered.
सर थोड़ा सा मैं वो इन्वेंट्री की बात हो रही थी ना, अभी वो प्राइसेस बढ़ गए वगैरह, तो आई वुड लाइक टू टच अपॉन एक तो मतलब इन टर्म्स ऑफ गोल्ड सेक्टर एंड डायमंड. गोल्ड में प्राइसेस आर रेडली अवेलेबल, एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड, क्लैरिटी है, ठीक है ना, तो वहां पर इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन इज नॉट एन इशू. डायमंड में बिकॉज ऑफ द यूनिक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ दैट स्टोन, देयर आर 4 C's इन्वॉल्व्ड, नॉट एवरी पीस इज यूनिक. Diamond valuation itself is an issue. There is no readily available, say, price for every type of diamond. Okay, so that's the basic issue over there. That is again an industry thing concern. So even the auditors, many of the auditors, they comment that they have gone by the management valuation or management insight into it. So that's a concern. But one larger point, as far as gold is concerned, no, maybe some people might think, or some of the companies might think that just because the gold prices have gone up, they might be earning greater profit, you know, on the inventory which they held, so that should lead to some benefit to them. But our viewpoint is completely different. We don't look at, we are basically more concerned about steadiness of cash flows. Steadiness of cash flows, hedging. If someone hedges it, for example, in gold, you can do inventory replenishment, जो आप normal सारे ज्वेलर्स करते हैं, जो basic thing है, या फिर जो बड़े-बड़े हम लोग gold metal loan लेते हैं, wherein price fix करने का जो time है, depending on domestic and export, 180 to 70 days का time है. So if you hedge, तो हम लोग को बेसिकली मैंने बोला ना कैश फ्लो में कि वी आर कंसर्न विद द कोर बिजनेस कैश फ्लोज. आप वोलेटिलिटी से आप प्लस माइनस का गेन आप मत देखें. वो अगर आप उस पे गए ना, तो अगर आपको आज गेन हुआ तो कल उसमें लॉस भी हो सकता है. सो इफ योर स्टेडी स्टेट, एक स्टेडी कैश फ्लोज आप मेंटेन कर रहे हैं, हेजिंग इज पैरामाउंट. अगर कोई कंपनी हेज कर रही है, वी गो इनटू इन डेप्थ आल्सो टू सी वेदर वो हेज कर रही है कि नहीं. So that is definitely relatively better than someone who doesn't hedge. ये एक मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा हूँ from an inventory perspective.
ये इनफैक्ट मुझे इसके बारे में आपको सवाल पूछना था, and good that you have answered, because this is a very important point that you have highlighted, especially for the gold jewelers, क्योंकि गोल्ड पिछले एक साल में 40,000 वाला 50,000 हो गया है. तो लिटरली जिसने हेज किया है उनको एक तरह से अपॉर्चुनिटी लॉस है, और जिसने हेज नहीं किया उनको गेन है. But how the external agencies will look at it, कि भले आपने hedge किया है और भले आपका opportunity gain नहीं है, but that ensures, or the practice of hedging ensures a steady cash flows.
Yes, and हमने बोला ना, हमने long term देखते हैं. ये नहीं कि आज मैंने रेटिंग दिया, आज हो गया. मुझे देखना है मैंने जो रेटिंग दिया वो आज से 3 साल बाद भी रहेगा. ऐसा नहीं कि 2 साल बाद आप डिफॉल्ट कर दो. 3 साल बाद अगर वो प्राइस शार्प फॉल हो गया, तब तो आप अगर हेज नहीं करोगे तो आपका मतलब इन्वेंट्री लॉस हो जाएगा.
Right.
पूरा थ्रू द साइकिल, पूरे टेन्योर तक देखना है. तो जैसे मैंने बोला ना कि वो मतलब वो 2-3 महीने की बात नहीं है कि आज मैं देख रहा हूँ. एक व्यू लेना है, आउटलुक लेना है पूरा कंपनी का जो भी है.
And see, this is for the benefit of all the members, especially the MSME ones. This is a very critical point. How the external agency, or for that matter, any stakeholders will look at the business. Less volatile, more steady. So hedging will be viewed positively. एक और चीज है जो मैं हाईलाइट करना चाहता हूँ. इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, आई जस्ट वांट टू रश एंड have Ranjan and Ujjwal comment on that. They in their presentations, there are 2 critical slides which is so important for all of us, all the members, जिसमें उन्होंने हाईलाइट किया है कि रेटिंग की वजह से बैंक, because of the Basel II norms, they give a risk weightage. And उसके नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में उन्होंने क्रेडिट स्प्रेड के बारे में बताया है. एक कमेंट में देना चाहूंगा, अभी इंडिया में बॉन्ड मार्केट उतना डीप नहीं है, उतना ट्रांसपेरेंट नहीं है. But आप ये चीज को, ये मुद्दे को लेके अपने बैंकर के साथ जरूर ये चीज पे नेगोशिएट कर सकते हो. अगर वो ट्रांसपेरेंट ओपन मार्केट होता तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपको वही क्रेडिट स्प्रेड मिलना चाहिए जो डबल ट्रिपल बी के सामने लिखा है. बट और वो भी 10 ईयर का है. तो 10 ईयर का अगर जीसेक 6% है, 10 ईयर का क्रेडिट स्प्रेड अगर हम 4.7 बोल रहे हैं, तो शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स का जीसेक भी लोअर होगा, भले क्रेडिट स्प्रेड, बट इनपुट्स लेके, वो इंफॉर्मेशन लेके आप अपने बैंकर के साथ एज अ नॉलेजेबल, एज एन एजुकेटेड डिस्कशन में इंडल्ज हो सकते हो। तो ये जो रेटिंग,
बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट आपने बोला मौलिक भाई, वेरी गुड पॉइंट मौलिक भाई।
and I want your comments on that, Ranjan ji, for especially for the benefit of the members, how they can make use of this information and knowledge.
सर ये तो मतलब ऑब्वियसली मतलब व्हेन यू आर इन अ बिजनेस एंड इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट और फाइनेंस कॉस्ट इज वन ऑफ योर की कॉस्ट्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर कैपिटल, आप कितना डेट ले रहे हैं, तो आपको कॉस्ट तो देखना पड़ेगा ना। इफ योर मतलब आपके पास ये रेडली अवेलेबल है ये वेबसाइट पे, ठीक है, तो जब भी आप अपने बैंक्स के पास जा रहे हैं, किसी के पास आप बोल सकते हैं ना कि देखो मार्केट में इस रेटिंग पे एक रिस्क फ्री रिटर्न के ऊपर जो रिस्क का जो रेटिंग है, मतलब जो रिस्क डिपेंडिंग ऑन द रिस्क इज डिफाइंड बाय दैट रेटिंग, BBB A व्हाटएवर, तो ये स्प्रेड कितना है आप देख लो, और तो आप मुझे इतना कॉस्ट बेनिफिट पास ऑन करो, एंड ऑब्वियसली दे कैन बार्गेन विद वेरियस बैंकर्स। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक बैंक के पास रहे ना, समथिंग व्हिच इज मार्केट डिटरमिन्ड, इसमें हम लोग का रोल नहीं है कुछ भी, मार्केट फोर्सेस आर डिटरमिनिंग दिस प्राइसेस। एंड जैसे मैंने 10 इयर्स का जीसेक का दिखाया, वो 5 साल 3 साल का भी रहता है। एंड जो शॉर्ट टर्म टेनर में कमर्शियल पेपर्स होते हैं, वो तो आपको 30 दिन 90 दिन लेस देन 1 ईयर के कमर्शियल पेपर्स मिलते हैं एक्टिवली ट्रेडेड इन द मार्केट। बट अगेन तो उसके लिए आपको एक आइडिया आ जाएगा व्हाट इज द बेंचमार्क गोइंग रेट। बट एक दो चीजें हैं इसमें सर, अगेन मैं मेंबर्स के लिए बोलना चाहूंगा, जो ट्रांसपेरेंसी है ना वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। मैं बता रहा हूं कि वो लॉन्ग टर्म बेनिफिट देती है आपको। आप ट्रांसपेरेंटली सब डिटेल शेयर करो, बी ट्रांसपेरेंट इन योर बिजनेस डीलिंग्स विद वेरियस स्टेक होल्डर्स, अपने कस्टमर, सप्लायर, बैंकर, रेटिंग एजेंसी सबके साथ में, क्योंकि ये जो क्रेडिबिलिटी है ना, ये बिल्ड होने में टाइम लगती है ना। एंड अगर डैमेज होना है तो एक दो आप गलत काम करोगे ना, डैमेज हो जाता है। तो जैसे मैं बोला कि अगर मान लीजिए A1+ रेटिंग है किसी का सीपी का, तो मार्केट भी ना उसको अलग देखती है। इट इज ऑल्सो सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक। अगर कोई डिफेंसिव सेक्टर है फार्मा, तो अगर फार्मा में किसी का सपोज एक A1+ हाईएस्ट शॉर्ट टर्म रेटिंग है, तो उसको जो इन्वेस्टर कम्युनिटी जो भी है ना, जो म्यूचुअल फंड्स वगैरह जो भी डेट मार्केट में है, वो रेट देंगे ना, दोस वुड बी डेफिनेटली बेटर कंपेयर टू से टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर और जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर। वो रिलेटिव रहेगा, मैंने बोला ना रिलेटिव रहेगा वो, क्योंकि डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स के डिफरेंट रिस्क होते हैं, डिस्पाइट इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेटिंग्स वो दोनों सेम है ना। लॉन्ग टर्म रेटिंग में वो काफी डिफरेंशिएट हो जाएगा। लॉन्ग टर्म रेटिंग में आप देखेंगे फार्मा वगैरह में ज्यादा रेटिंग्स हायर एंड पे रहेंगे, टेक्सटाइल एंड से जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी ऐसे में थोड़ा लोअर एंड पे रहेंगे। बट गिवन द पॉइंट कि मान जस्ट अज्यूमिंग कि दो कंपनीज हैं, जस्ट फॉर अजम्पशन से, दोनों की लॉन्ग टर्म रेटिंग AA है, दोनों की शॉर्ट टर्म रेटिंग A1+ है, और एंड वो अगर कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्रीज में है ना, तो मार्केट में तो आप जब जाएंगे ना, तो वहां पर जो इन्वेस्टर है वो अपने हिसाब से रिस्क देखेगा। डिस्पाइट दोज रेटिंग्स बीइंग सेम, एक इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट आता है, तो डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्रीज को डिफरेंट जो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स है ना वो मिलेंगे। प्लस कंपनी स्पेसिफिक, इफ यू आर इन द मार्केट ना, आप मार्केट में है ना, तो बिकॉज पीपल विल स्टार्ट नोइंग यू कि हाँ ये तो पिछले 3 साल से मार्केट में है, कितनी बार ये सीपी रेज कर रहा है ना, ये हर बार टाइम पे कर रहा है, तो आपको मार्केट में कुछ समय तक रहना पड़ेगा वो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड एंड क्रेडिबिलिटी मतलब एस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए, है ना। तो ऐसा नहीं कि आप सीधे चले जाएं मेरा ये रेटिंग है, तो आपको वो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सब लोग आपको देख रहे हैं, है ना, फ्रॉम दैट। तो वो डेट मार्केट तो बात की बात है, कैपिटल मार्केट तो अभी बहुत कम डेवलप है, इवन इंडिया में बॉन्ड मार्केट डेवलप नहीं है। वो जो है वो AA एंड अबव, AA+ एंड अबव उनके लिए है, बट ग्रेजुअली ऑब्वियसली रेगुलेटर्स, गवर्नमेंट, दे आर टेकिंग वेरियस स्टेप्स टू डीपन द बॉन्ड मार्केट। वो तो जब होगा तो होगा, बट इन जनरल बिकॉज हमारे जो ऑडियंस है, हाउ टू लिंक इट, कि अगर उनकी रेटिंग जैसा उसके हिसाब से आप बात करें ना बैंक से।
Sure. No, in fact, this is very critical and informative. And in the interest of the time, though there are many questions, many queries from the members also, anyone I have few, I will have to stop this questions. But one thing which I can tell you as a closing remark is the rating agencies and the rating process as such. Every single firm, if you incorporate into a business model, and as Ranjanji said, be more transparent, create a partnership with the rating agencies. You have no idea. India is at the inflection point of various financial sector development. Bond market, debt market is the next big thing to happen. And ये जो rating agencies का अभी का हमारा जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उसको हम डीपन करें एंड उसको अपने साथ लेके चले डेवलप मार्केट में आगे चलने वाले टाइम पे ये हमको जरूर फायदा देगी। एंड जो उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन दिया है उसमें से जो की पॉइंट्स आपको अगर आज अच्छे लगे हो, प्लीज वर्क ऑन इट। Apart from, we have shared our inputs in a way to the rating agencies, and hopefully रंजन जी एंड उज्जवल जी हमारे जो ट्रेड के और कंपनीज के जो इश्यूज है, हालांकि few members have expressed, but I can tell you this has been the general sentiments prevailing among the members, and I request you to take into account so that better understanding of both rating agencies and the firm will go a long way in building the partnership.
Definitely, your inputs, your thoughts are very well taken. We'll keep everything in mind.
Thank you so much, Ranjan ji, Ujjwal ji, and Gigi, once again for organizing this very important session, and all the members who are there. You have been here almost for last 1.5 hours plus. Thank you so much for your time, your attention. Wishing everyone a happy Diwali in advance and a great time during the festive seasons. Thank you all.
Thank you, Maulik bhai. Thanks everyone. Happy Diwali to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.